Sorry, we're late. We're a little late today, but we had some technical difficulties to work through. But here we are. We gotta say, Brian, we've got to have an introduction. You've got to have something that you say when we go live.
Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, and two undisclosed locations for reason of security and therefore insecurity. My name's Brian Engelman. That's Mike Bara, and this is Strictly Football here on the Unhappy Hour, powered by the New American Media. Thanks for joining us today, Thursday, November 21st, 2024. Mike, how you doing, sir?
Great. 1 week before the big Thanksgiving holiday where we just watch football all day long and stuff ourselves with turkey, which we eat, twice a year. I eat it at turkey, at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that's it. That's the only time I eat turkey. So.
Yeah, it's not a common occurrence by any stretch.
Yeah.
What is your favorite food when you go ahead and get Turkey Day?
Well, I love turkey, the turkey itself, but I think the stuffing, I make my mom's stuffing recipe, which or dressing, depending on what you call it, which you can replicate really well with stovetop stuffing instead of potatoes, and throw in her sausage and all the things she used to put in it, and it just reminds me of home, and it's delicious. My favorite thing. What about you?
I'm partial to like in that glass Pyrex, that rectangular Pyrex. You get you get the Jello thing with the cranberry and the pineapple mixed into it, and then on top there's like a cream cheese whipped cream blended topping with powdered sugar, whatever's in there, and then you top it with pecans or walnuts. Pick your favorite sort of crunchy thing on top. Just like that dessert for me. I love the candied yams.
You're a sick person, Brian. I'm just going to tell you that.
What's your favorite dessert? You just go pumpkin pie, you go apple pie?
Apple pie with vanilla ice cream. Yeah, apple pie.
I'm not going to hate on that. I will never hate on.
And especially a Costco apple pie. Oh my God, is there anything better? So yeah, we're going to have to figure this out because next Thursday is Thanksgiving. We're going to have to do our show on Wednesday. Don't you think? We're going to have to figure out a way to do that.
I actually think that's a brilliant idea. Let me check my travel plans. Maybe Tuesday, Friday. Yeah,
we can do Tuesday if you want. We can do Tuesday, but Wednesday.
Let me check travel plans, but we'll text and figure it out. But we've been pretty good. We've had to deal with a couple of scheduling conflicts. We have to call a couple audibles from time to time based on what the defense is showing us out there. As long as we've studied our game tape in advance and know what to look for, we've given you a show once a week, and I think that's pretty doggone good for a brand new launch, especially in a season. Mike, your team is fighting for a playoff spot. Yeah. My team, we're fighting to be the number one overall pick.
Yeah, fighting for the number one pick. Yeah,
it's brutal. Trying to figure out, is Deion Sanders going to come in and run Stefanski out of town? I mean, we'll get to the Browns in a minute, but I love the game of football. I love playing fantasy football. Special thing today, Mike, you have a full segment about the picks. Tell us about what's coming up after we recap the games.
Oh, well, we're going to go over Jim Mitchell's picks again this week. We were going to have Jim come on live and actually do his information, not his picks, but his betting tips that he has on a weekly basis. But he couldn't quite get his, speaking of technical problems, couldn't quite get his computer working. So that's not going to happen this week, but we're going to try to get that done for next week. There are technical difficulties to be worked out. So,
but God bless America in 2024, Mike. I mean, my God, we get to run our own network.
Not only that, we could do it from an airplane at 37,000 feet if we wanted to. We could do it from there. So,
and with the Starlink, we could do it from the rural hills of North Carolina that were avoided by the FEMA workers.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, like we have
no politics, strictly football. Remember, we've broken our rule. Strictly football on this show.
I was discussing a Starlink. It was not political. Of course it was. Everything is. But yeah, Mike and I, we do other shows as well. He does Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I do the Agree to Disagree show. Join us there where we cover more current events and political stuff. This one, we try to stay we say strictly football, except for when we're not.
It's strictly football, except for when it's not strictly football.
Exactly. Well, let's jump into the games from last week. We can start with this one here. I mean, look, this was a matchup between two dynamic young quarterbacks. The Eagles and the Commanders. And what is this? Wants to access? No, I don't want to do that. Washington Commanders came up a little bit short. Jaden Daniels, he had an interception on the day, only 191 yards in the air. Jalen Hurts, no touchdowns passing, but you know what? They got it done. He got one rushing touchdown on the ground, and Saquon Barkley added 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Eagles improved to 8-2. Commanders drop to 7-4. What did you take away here?
Jaden Daniels is hurt. His rib injury is restricting him a lot more than people think. It's restricting how he throws the ball. It's restricting his ability to run the ball and take hits. So it's hurting the Commanders. They've lost 2 in a row now, I think. And it's strictly because of Jaden Daniels' injury. When he gets healthy again, they will get better and they will start winning again. I think they have a relatively easy game this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, that's what you can say about it is that the Eagles were just that little bit healthier. They had Saquon. Jalen Hurts, you got to worry about his passing game a little bit. But as things stand, the Eagles' defense was good enough and Saquon was good enough and they got the job done. So it's about all I can say about that game.
Yeah. I mean, we're having the separation that you expect. You're like 17 games never feels like a lot. I don't know. It just always seems like it's a short season. I know it's a couple months, once a week.
We're more than halfway through the season now. We're in week 12.
Oh my God. We're way past that line, in fact. And it's starting to separate the teams.
Yeah.
Right now, the Browns are fighting with like a couple others that are only 2-win teams and a couple 3-win teams looking at the number 1 overall pick, while the other teams are fighting for playoff spot. Your Seahawks. I mean, look, that division is sort of, I mean, it's there. There's a lot of imperfect teams. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but yeah, in this game, the Eagles elevate, Commanders settle.
Yeah.
There are 2 game difference.
When you're dependent on a dynamic offensive player like Jaden Daniels and he's not right, it's going to hurt your offense. And that's what's going on with them. And, I think Dan Quinn's a really great coach, and just sit back and wait and let Jaden Daniels get healthy, and things will get back on track.
Do you have any thoughts on Saquon Barkley, by the way? I mean,
fantastic.
Adding him to that offense, it's been so helpful.
Absolutely fantastic, and shows you the value of a true running back. I mean, the Seahawks would take him out on 3rd down because he's not that great in the passing game blocking. Okay, then give him the ball on 3rd down. Yeah. He's a tremendous talent. Just fantastic.
Run the damn ball, right? You don't make that pass.
Right.
Seahawks classic moment there. All right, we had a classic game here in Chicago. Came down right to the wire. I don't know if you watched this one, but Jordan Love runs for the go-ahead touchdown, and the Packers beat the Bears. And the field goal attempt by Carl Brooks, right as time ran out, blocked at the line. I saw a great video of a kid crying. Not because it's fun to watch kids cry, but like I could empathize with the feeling of being so excited as a 5-year-old or 6-year-old. And oh my gosh, this is what it's like to be a Browns fan. Here you go, Chicago. Now they lose this one.
I remember the 2015-2014 season NFC Championship game between the Packers and the Seahawks when the Packers were up like 16-6 with less than 5 minutes to play. Russ was playing with a concussion because what's his name? Clay Matthews had hit him with the dirtiest shot I think I've ever seen in an NFL game. He stuck his helmet right under his chin, trying to knock him out. Could have killed him. Anyway, and Russ had cleared up in the 4th quarter, and he brought him back. We scored 19 points, or got the game tied, and then Russ won it in overtime with a phenomenal deep pass for a touchdown. And there was this video of these Packers fans, these little kids, they were crying, and they say Michael Bennett, found a bike, and he started riding a bike around, and he's going, they got bikes too, and he was just crying, and I couldn't help but laugh. I really couldn't. But 2 weeks later, then that was us when Pete Carroll threw the Super Bowl away on the 2-yard line. So,
what's a Super Bowl? I'd love to go to one.
Yeah,
says the Browns fan.
Yeah,
I'd love to attend my first, maybe even win.
It's fun. There's nothing like it to be in a Super Bowl.
I know. I want to see it. I have a T-shirt that says "Just one before I die." Just one before I die. Like, come on. And there's a lot of older folks.
Oh, and when you get that one, it's one of the 5 greatest days of your life. Let me just tell you, it's better than sex.
And I mean, the buildup has been a lot longer. Yeah, I'll definitely vouch for that.
I mean, if you offered me a night with Sydney Sweeney or the Seahawks winning another Super Bowl, it would be like, bye, Sid.
You said strictly football. No Sydney Sweeney talk. We're getting off track here.
Yeah, that's not true, though. Actually, I picked Sydney, but because I already got it. Once you have the Super Bowl, then you're like, oh, man, yeah, that Super Bowl was great, but I'll take Sid. All right.
Packers end up improving to 7-3. Bears fall to 4-6 on the year.
Yeah, Caleb Williams, man, really damaged by Shane Waldron. Really not a good offensive coordinator. So let's see what they can do with some new thought processes going on there.
Well, over here, the new thought process a couple years ago. I mean, the Browns lost John Dorsey as their general manager. He went up to the Detroit Football Lions, and look what they've been able to do in a couple of years. They swung some trades, they drafted well, and look at this. They're the favorites, I believe now, the Vegas favorites, depending on who you're talking to win the doggone Super Bowl. They hang 52 points on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who dropped to 2-9 on the year.
Isn't this their second 50-pack in 3 weeks, or they got 48 in one other game? That's how much better they are than the Jags. That's what they should beat them by, especially without Trevor Lawrence to fight back with. Right. Mac Jones is the quarterback there. And look, a 158.3, which I think is a perfect passer rating for Goff again. Look, it helps to build a football team when you end up with the number 1 or number 2 overall pick in a year where there's some really great talent. They took Aiden Hutchinson, who in my opinion was the best player in football, the best non-quarterback player in football when he broke his leg. Imagine how good this team would be if Aiden Hutchinson was healthy.
They did send the Cleveland Browns did at the trade deadline send Zadarius Smith.
They did.
Maybe not Aiden Hutchinson, but he can be a solid player. He's a guy that can make some plays.
And if I recall, there was some vague talk that he might get back for a Super Bowl or a playoff game, a championship game. If that's true, wow. Look, the Bills have never won it. The Cardinals have never won it. The Bengals have never won it. The Browns have never won it. Jaguars. Those are all teams people root for. So there's a lot of energy behind the Lions right now. And, they're playing with here's the thing that I always used to say about this. Is it nice to beat a team 52-6? No, but, that's what champions do. When they get you down, they step on your neck and they choke you off. And that's what Pete Carroll never did ever, really, for the Seahawks. He didn't run the score up. Well, that's a team that is going to the Super Bowl does win games like this against teams they should beat this bad.
Yeah, so, you need to have the curb stomp moment. Yep. Bite the curb, finish the job. When a team is down, I mean, you press even harder. John Cooper, famously with the Buckeyes, had how many number 1 overall teams leading into the big game, but like when the big game came, he shrunk in the moment. He got too scared to be himself. Yeah, it was almost like Marty Ball. When you play prevent defense, all you do is prevent yourself from winning.
That happens more. It's funny that happens more with English football, with soccer. There's a lot of the English football team. The national team. They play in the World Cup and the Euros. They have probably the best talent in the world, but they get to the final and their manager's like, oh, just typical English style. Don't make a mistake. So they don't play to win. They play not to lose. And what do they end up doing? Losing. So, it's like that is a thing that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cleveland Browns really haven't had a chance to do much winning. It's just, what is winning? What's winning? I don't know what losing is. What's winning? Yeah. All right, let's go to a team that's done a bunch of winning. By the way, I did invite Blake Wally again today. He has an open invitation every single show. When we wrap up Agree to Disagree, look at his Minnesota Vikings here. You can judge a team based on their record at some point. In some ways, you can maybe explain a game or two away. You could have a swing based on a call, a no call, a fumble, an interception, a weird bounce, a bang play. But at some point, it separates, and you are what your record says you are. And the Minnesota Football Vikings are 8-2.
Yeah,
they took care of business on the road, beat the Tennessee Titans, who fall to 2-8 on the road, battling the Browns for number 1 overall pick. And Sam Darnold, look, he leads the way, gets it done. Sam Darnold, 2 touchdowns passing on the day and a 1-yard rushing touchdown.
Almost 300 yards, yeah. What did he have? 246. Okay, so
246, yeah.
But again, Darnold plays within himself, didn't make any big catastrophic mistakes, and the Vikings are a very strong and balanced football team, and they played like it. Titans are not very good, but, again, there's some hope there. I like Will Levis. I've always liked Will Levis. Mm-hmm. I wanted the Seahawks to draft him with one of their 2023 first-round picks. Well, I really wanted him to go get C.J. Stroud, but, I would have taken Levis. And he just continues to develop. And I'm going to repeat it again for everybody ripping on me and ripping on Will Levis. He's ahead in terms of his statistical performance. He's doing better than Peyton Manning and Josh Allen at the same point in their careers. He looks better than they do. So say whatever you want. I think he's coming along. And did you see that 98-yard touchdown pass he had out of the end zone? I mean, they snapped the ball from the 2-yard line. He throws the ball 70 yards up the sideline. Guy runs it all the way. 98-yard touchdown pass. That was a great throw. So I don't know what the Titans are going to do, but I'm not sure I'd take a quarterback if I was them.
And that's where you wonder traditionally when a number 1 overall pick or the top 5, if they're not urgently in need of quarterback, is that where you get the cornerstone, the bookend left tackle, somebody that you hope will be there for 12 years that could just stabilize your line.
The Heisman winner from Colorado guy that I just love, the wide receiver Heisman hybrid. I forget his name, Walker or something. He's a great player. So, who knows? If the Titans end up with the number 1 pick, who knows?
Yeah, and I enter the strange territory now where it's like my team's playing tonight. We'll get to in a minute, but God, I mean, I think we have a 0.1% chance of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance. I mean, am I just rooting for us to lose every game to get the highest draft pick possible? I hate being in this spot. I never want to play to lose, but my God, at some point it becomes a little ridiculous I'd like to really fight back and become middle of the pack and lose out on a potential franchise QB because Look, Deshaun Watson has not worked out. Even when healthy, he was the worst quarterback in the league. So it ain't working. It's time to stop the Deshaun Watson experiment, even though we've paid him for another 2 years. I think we're done with him. We'll see how it goes. There are rumblings we're going to try to get him back next year and build around him. I don't see it at all. I don't see any progression. It's all negative. But look, Sam Darnold, he's been solid. He's stabilized it. Yeah. Would the Titans take a QB? I don't know. But that's one of the ones that I'm least concerned would be in competition to draft a quarterback that the Browns might need to change their franchise around for sure. We'll see if they like Will Levis or not. But they are a 2-8 team, and their former coach, Mike Vrabel. Remember, he graduated to the Browns sidelines during the last game. He's getting closer and closer to just grabbing the Denny's clipboard, the Denny's menu from Kevin Stefanski's hands, and just escorting him out of the building and taking over.
That's the thing is that I heard some talk on Sirius NFL Radio this weekend, and I said, look, if the Browns are dumb enough to get rid of Stefanski over this disaster season, he'll be unemployed about 15 minutes, is what they said. So, yeah, and I agree with that.
I would argue I've never been a Stefanski fan. He never won us a playoff game. The one lone win was when he was in the basement. He was on a COVID protocol. He can't put 2 decent seasons together. We have the highest payroll in the league and we're getting the least return out of it. But then you counterbalance it and go, well, he had to start 5 different quarterbacks last year and we still made the playoffs.
And Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Which quarterback, which Kevin Stefanski are we getting? I don't know. I'm just not sold on him. Let's just bounce to the Browns since I keep bringing him up. I'm sorry to bring him up because my God. But this was such a statistical anomaly kind of game. The thing you would take away if you were watching, Denzel Ward's a top 5 pick. Denzel Ward out of the Ohio State University. He's one of those players you ask a game changer to make big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And this was a game where Denzel Ward got an interception. He also stripped a ball away from somebody and recovered it. He was responsible for 2 takeaways. Mix that in with what we saw at the quarterback position. Look at the stats here. Look at what we got out of quarterback. We had Jameis Winston, 30 of 46, 395 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And we lose this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You can just say Taysom Hill's 3 touchdowns won this game.
To a terrible team. I mean, the Saints are not good. And Taysom Hill, what were we just talking about him like a week ago? He just doesn't do anything anymore, and then he has this game.
But that's who Taysom Hill is. He's feast or famine Taysom.
Yeah. So, I mean, Taysom, yeah, feast or famine. You guys got the 3rd overall pick as of right now. You taking a quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You only get a chance to draft top 5 a couple of times. And there's no position that's more important in the NFL than quarterback. You have to get it right. Is Dorian Thompson-Robinson our backup the answer? I don't think so. Based on what I've seen, is Jameis Winston the answer? The guy can still throw it. He has he can have a good game. He can have a bad game. He can have a pretty good game. And the rest of the team. I mean, we missed 2 or 3 field goals. Dustin Hopkins, who was like an ace kicker, he missed one. Then there was a penalty. He got it again and missed it again, I believe, on top of another miss. And you're going. He was like a Pro Bowler last year. He was one of the best bright spots on the team, was stabilizing that ever toxic place kicker position for the Browns. That's not even working this year. But yeah, I'm not in love with any of the quarterbacks that could come out in this draft. But if you're top 5, meaning lower 5 of the teams, and you're in a quagmire of a situation with Deshaun Watson, who knows what this is going to look like, but we're in salary cap hell. Yeah, I go quarterback. Would you agree, or would you?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think there's 4 or 5 potential first-round quarterbacks, and I absolutely think you have to take one of them. And it's not going to help your cap situation, but you got to take somebody.
Yeah.
So,
do
it. Just do it.
I mean, just imagine if the bean counters, if they let Paul DePodesta from the Moneyball scheme. Up there in the Cleveland Browns front office, who's been hiding way too many of these decisions. Imagine if he says, no, we should just draft a left tackle. Now, we do need a left tackle also. But, I mean, imagine if the bean counter thinks it's not important and we got to trot Deshaun Watson out again. Like, I don't think I have it in me to do this again. I mean, I make a pilgrimage back and forth to Cleveland at least once a year for a game. Sometimes when I'm excited, several times a year. I'm not doing it anymore. I like next year, I might actually tap out with my yearly game that I go to with my college roommate. I can't stomach this shit. It's beyond brutal. But how
you want a complete changeover.
And Jameis throwing for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It doesn't even make sense. We were right with them up until the third quarter, and all of the wheels fell off.
The bottom falls out. Yeah.
At what point is it coaching? What point is it culture? I don't even know where to start anymore. We keep rebuilding and we can't get it right, Mike.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
Anyway, that's the Browns. That's all. I did a Strictly Browns episode, maybe Monday. You can check that one out. Yes, that is a Strictly Browns episode with the unhappy hour that we put out on Monday. So I'll get off of this doggone team. New Orleans improves 4-7. Browns, of course, have a share with the worst number of wins in the league. By the way, I'm trying to figure out how do the Jaguars have one extra loss? We're all 2-8, but they're 2-9.
No bye week.
England thing?
Probably no bye week yet.
No, but this deep into the season and no bye week.
Yeah, I think week 14 is the last bye week. So
that is way too far to have a bye week. In my humble estimation, that just seems strange to me. Okay, let's jump to this one. Look, Tua's back, and the Dolphins, are they back? Look, they're showing some life. They're 4-6 now.
Yeah.
They took care of the Raiders, of course, not much of a team there, but Tua throws for 3 touchdowns, and they get the win. What did you think of this game?
Well, good luck with them making it back. But, Tua's a big improvement over what they have. It shows you his value. Anybody who thinks Tua's not a good quarterback or is not a guy you can build around, he just showed you how much he means to the team. I don't have much to say about the rest of it. The defense played pretty well, but they're going up against Gardner Minshew and the Las Vegas Raiders. So I don't have a lot to say about this. I watched a bit of it. It was good to see. Would Tyreek get 7 catches? So good for him.
Yeah. I mean, geez, he's killing my fantasy football league. He finally gets a touchdown. That had been, I think, since the first week of the season.
Yeah, but I mean, what can you do when his quarterback goes out for 4 weeks with a concussion, or 5 weeks, or whatever it was?
I'll give you that. But man, I've drafted that guy twice, Tyreek Hill twice. First time he was injured the whole season, and this time he's been without his quarterback all season. You're like, like so much of fantasy football is the luck of the draft, getting somebody that can be a cornerstone that will consistently drive you big time points every week. And when they're just not available or they don't have their quarterback to throw it to them, God, what
do you do?
It's like Monty Python when he chops off the knight's leg and he starts hopping around. He goes, "'Tis merely a flesh wound."
Only a flesh wound.
He's hopping around on one leg. Then he gets like, that's what it's like trying to win in fantasy when your guys get injured. Okay, let's talk about another very injured team, the Los Angeles Rams. They seem to be, once again, kind of like the Dolphins. They're fighting one game better. They're 5-5 on the season after beating the New England Football Patriots 28-22. New England drops to 3-8 on the year, one game up for the worst overall pick, although they have Drake May, so I don't think that they'd be super concerned about quarterback position per se. Stafford throws for 4 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, 2 to Kupp, 1 to Nakua, and they get it done. So what did we learn?
Stafford to his veteran guys, the guys that he knows. Nakua realizes only his second year, but he plays like a vet. 2 really smart receivers know how to get open. Screw the Rams. Good for you. Good for you. You beat a bad team. I think the key thing is the continuing progress of Drake May. That's the story here. And I think, I just think, it was just a back and forth game between 2 not that great teams. And unfortunately, the Rams came out on top. So.
Yeah, that's right. You have a vested interest in what happens in that division.
I mean, I think the difference in that game is the level that Stafford is at now versus the level that May is at right now. That's the difference. And
receiver though, like 2 stud receivers. Who are the New England receivers that are with any pedigree, with any gravitas, any history? Like you don't. Like Drake needs some weapons to go to.
Yeah.
And I wondered for a long time, is Cooper Kupp that good of a player, or is he a system player that's just thriving with the right coach and the right scheme? I don't know. I don't know how you can unscramble those eggs. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. Yeah, Tom went and got one, but whatever. It's hard to define legacy in those ways, I suppose.
Yep.
I don't know.
Not much you can say. It's just, moving on.
Moving on past them. Let's go to this one. They gave the reins back to Anthony Richardson as the Colts get a 1-point win over Aaron Rodgers and the New York Football Jets, who dropped to 3-8 on the year. Indianapolis, that's another one of those teams right in the middle of the pack, 5-6. Fighting for their playoff lives. Man, and a story came out that maybe the owner of the Jets was bandying about the proposal of maybe benching Aaron Rodgers after only a couple of games earlier this season. I mean, what do you make of the Jets with Aaron Rodgers to, a season and a half in? Would he be invited back for another year? Should the Jets start tanking? What about Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco? Like Anthony screwed up, but then they gave him the chance and he came through and got the win. There's different storylines here.
Richardson has a long way to go in terms of maturity. He won that game with his physical assets. If he keeps taking hits the way he's been taking them, he's not going to have those physical assets very long. And if you don't call what the Jets are doing tanking already, what are they doing? This is, again, a team that needs a complete reset, and that probably means starting over with a new quarterback as well. May as well see if you can trade Aaron Rodgers for something. Assuming Aaron wants to go and Aaron is willing to go. We'll see.
Yeah. How many years does he want to keep playing? How long is he welcome back in New York? Would he fit on the Vikings? Would he fit on, there's a lot of teams that could just use a bridge quarterback, someone that jumps in as a veteran and gets things done. We have a question here in the chat room from Augusto Kashishishian saying QB Hurts, running backs are Hall, Kamara, Chase Brown, Dobbins, Eckler. Why, man, you got a lot. Those are decent running backs, bro. Who are you playing? Receivers, London, Lamb, Ridley, Jennings, Downs, tight end, Bowers, Hawkinson. Would I trade Dobbins and Ridley for DK? Okay, perfect. Well, this is a question you could answer because it's a DK question. Do you see the value of giving up both Dobbins at running back for the Chargers, who's having a really nice season, and Calvin Ridley, who's kind of like the only thing the Titans have on offense, for DK Metcalf? Is DK that good to make that trade? No,
not from a fantasy perspective, because you never know which Geno Smith is going to show up. So I wouldn't, if I had already had Ridley, I wouldn't swap him and plus some other things for DK. No, I'd stick with Ridley. Because Will Levis is starting to come around. So, that I have more faith in Ridley from a fantasy perspective going forward than I do DK at this point.
Thank you for that. All right, yeah. So I guess double agreement. Don't do it. Don't let a trade raper go ahead and take care of your roster and make you regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you never want to trade $1 for 4 quarters. Like when there's like a prime. Look, J.K. Dobbins he's legit. He's healthy. He's getting some touches. He's getting some scores there. Anyway, no, don't do it. Move along. Okay, let's talk about these two AFC North teams here. This features your favorite quarterback, one of your favorite quarterbacks, Russell Wilson. He gets the job done. Baltimore gets it close at the end, but they're unable to finish. Baltimore drops to 7-4. Pittsburgh improves to 8-2 as the Steelers win 18-16. And man, Lamar Jackson is still having a hard time beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, who the Browns play tonight.
Yeah, this is a divisional game. The teams know each other very well. People are making a big deal out of, oh, well, Justin Fields has almost as many touchdowns as Russell Wilson. So why is Russell Wilson starting? Yeah, except that Russ has only played 4 games and has 6 or 7 touchdown passes, and Fields has like 5 in 4 games. So that's not really a very good comparison. 2 divisional teams, they know each other very well. They know how to play each other. They held Lamar down, the defense, and Russ got him 5 field goals. So that's good, or 4, 5. So that's 6. That's good enough. It's good enough. They won the game. That's what matters. Let's see how things go from here on out. But I thought it was.
Look at that stat line: 6 of 6 from Chris Boswell, 18 points. Every point was a field goal, people.
That is not an easy stadium to kick field goals in. In fact, it's one of the worst. So good for him.
And look how Justin Tucker did.
Yeah,
1 for 3.
Yeah,
that's
he was
not
terrible.
An average Justin Tucker performance.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is a tough spot.
So two quarterbacks struggled against guys that know how to coach defense. So good for them.
I think I saw a stat that said Derrick Henry has a touchdown in every game this year. I don't know if that's accurate. I thought I saw that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Man, is he looking good. Speaking of people looking good, Bo Nix, look at this. Don't look now. Wait, look at this or don't look now. The 6-5 Denver Broncos did Baker Mayfield a favor, whooping them 38-6. Falcons dropped to 6-5 on the year. 4 touchdowns for Bo Nix. It was a blowout. That elevation was no joke, Mike.
I hate Sean Payton. I don't think he's a good human being. But you got to admit,
what do you dislike about him on the human front?
He deliberately undermined Russell Wilson last year to try to get Russ to pop off at him. That's why he was screaming at him on the sideline. To get him to so they could void his contract. That is a low-life scum piece of shit thing to do.
Okay. Let me just add one caveat to the Kevin Stefanski conversation we had before earlier today. When I saw the Cleveland Browns playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the final game of Baker Mayfield's career as a Brown, they single-teamed TJ Watt the whole game. I think TJ Watt had 5 or 6 sacks.
Right.
I felt like Kevin Stefanski was intentionally trying to hurt Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost whether he was doing that or not. You have a running back in there to chip and double team. You put a tight end on that side, and you don't let that happen unless you're actually trying to hurt your quarterback. Either you're the most incompetent, inept, untrustworthy head coach of all time, and you don't understand how to scheme for TJ Watt, or you're intentionally trying to hurt your quarterback. I don't know what's worse. So when I talk about my situation at head coach, I work in some of that Sean Payton stuff as well. I see something I don't like, I call it out, and it sticks with me for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Greg Williams with Bounty Gate.
Well,
I love Greg Williams when he came to the Browns. I thought he was great for our team, and we didn't do anything shady. It was just, how do you shake that negative energy of you're paying people $10,000 bonuses to blow out their knees? That is Bush League bullshit. I don't ever want to see intentional injuries.
It is. Penix got into the game. I think you're going to see maybe a little more of Penix if this Falcons losing trend continues. So, but Bo Nix, look, I'm just going to say Bo Nix. Okay. I told everybody Bo Nix is a legit first round pick. When the Broncos took him 12th or 14th, I said, this is no joke. I was hoping he'd make it, him or Penix would make it to 16 and the Seahawks would have the fucking brains to draft him, because I saw this guy play live down here at Allegiant Stadium, Pac-12 championship game. I've mentioned it many times. He and Penix were both first-round pick quarterbacks, and I got laughed at and ripped on, and even my guru Rob Staten. Oh, Bo Nix is a third-round pick, British guy, and no, he's not. And he's going to be a great quarterback in this league. He's probably going to be a Pro Bowler someday, at the very least. So they got a good one, and that makes a huge difference. So go Broncos, go Bo.
Yeah, I can never root for the Broncos because of John Elway keeping Bernie Kosar and the Browns out of 2 straight Super Bowl appearances back to back. Was that 88, 89, I believe?
I think it was actually Ernest Biner who did that, but
he was in. He was just waltzing in for the time. Wait, the ball's out. The ball's out.
More Ernest Biner than John Elway, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh. 98 yards. Elway comes down pulling a Baker Mayfield.
Well, yeah, 98 yards when you play 10 yards off of every receiver and give them a first down every single I mean, literally, I've gone back and watched the drive, okay? I could have made almost every one of those throws.
And that's Marty ball. The prevent defense only prevents you from winning.
That's
unfortunately. Correct. All right, well, let's talk about this one. I mean, how excited were you to watch Geno Smith's late game heroics? They upend the San Francisco 49ers.
It was a great run. There it is, a great run by Geno. He's got straight line speed. He's not a slow player, even at 34 years old. It was great to finally beat the 49ers. I was cheering. I was happy. I'm not a big Geno Smith fan. You know that. He didn't play great. He had a pretty mediocre game before that. But the key thing here was the game completely changed when is it Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa? Nick is the one in Frisco, right?
Yeah.
Nick Bosa? Yeah. I can never keep the Bosa brothers straight. When he left the game
with a hip and oblique injury, he was limited all week by a similar injury, and then he hurt the other side on a sack in the second half.
Yeah,
and George Kittle missed the game after being listed as questionable.
When he left the game, they couldn't pressure the Seahawks anymore. Couldn't pressure Geno. Geno had his way. They kept the Seahawks, to their credit, kept the game close. Christian McCaffrey is not healthy. He's not 100%. He played, but he's not the Christian McCaffrey from last season or even before he got hurt this year. So everything kind of conspired to help the Seahawks win the game. And again, their 2 best games this season, the Seahawks, are off the mini bye from a Thursday night game where they got crushed by the 49ers the first time, and coming off their bye week this week. So, and they're both on the road. So give them that's not a coincidence. Young coaching staff maybe has a little extra time to prepare, come up with a few more wrinkles. There were some excellent play designs out there, and they got the job done, which was a surprise, but a pleasant one. And like I said, there's a lot of factors involved in winning this game. We'll see starting this week what it bodes going forward for the season. Well, does it really mean anything? We find out this week at home against the Cardinals.
Well, let's take a look here real quick on the right-hand side of this. Maybe let me share this and I can. Oh, no, of course that won't work. Let me go full screen. Okay, there we go. The NFC West standings. Holy crap. Look at that. 5-5 Frisco, 5-5 Seattle, 5-5 Rams, 5-5. I'm sorry, 6-4 Cardinals. My God, this is reminding me a little bit of the AFC North last year because we had so many teams competing for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you guys are all jammed in the middle. In the AFC North last year, we were all playoff caliber records. You guys are all clumped right at 500 here.
Well, if the Seahawks beat the Cardinals, then the Rams and 49ers, you could literally have all 4 teams at 6-5, tied for first place with, whatever tiebreakers are in there. So that's pretty fun. Yeah. We'll see how that division goes.
Absolutely. Here's something that was really fun. Finally, I believe Larry Zonka, I think he's the official man that busts out the champagne every time that the final undefeated team in football loses their first game. And it happened in week 10 or on the 10th game for the Kansas City Chiefs. As I predicted during my pregame, during my Pick'em series, the Buffalo Bills defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in Buffalo. Buffalo improves to 9-2 on the year. Chiefs fall to 9-1. Josh Allen gets the win, gets the touchdown, kind of rocking the Chiefs, who I think were pretty lucky to be undefeated up until this point. Honestly.
Used to be Nick Bonacani, but he's no longer with us. So R.I.P. Nick. And they shouldn't have been undefeated. They should have lost 1 or 2 of the games that they won, but they managed to find a way. But the margin, the margin kept getting thinner to the point where they had to block that field goal against the Broncos last week to stay undefeated coming into this week.
And that was a
lot. They could easily have lost 2 in a row. And I think that's the trend to look for with Kansas City is the margin of victory just keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner to the point where they couldn't overcome a very good Bills team that has Josh Allen, who's a freaking freight train out there when he decides to run the ball, and has all these other talents. So I don't know. We got to watch the Chiefs, because it could be that they're like a rocket that's gone up, and are they starting to drop down? We shall see. We shall see whether they start to fall off.
Well, also you want to keep an eye on Harrison Butker getting injured. Once again, you lose a kicker. God, that's not. You think of a game, it's like a coin flip. Offense, defense. 50% offense, 50% defense. It's not like that. It's a pie chart, and there's special teams. Special teams is punting, place kicking. It's strategic. It's kick return coverage. There's a lot that goes into special teams. What percentage would you say makes up the end result of a game? What percentage is attributed to special teams, would you guess, Mike?
Oh, I would say it's 20%, 15 or 20% of games are decided by special teams. A play that they gave up, a blocked field goal, a blocked extra point, a punt return that was, even if the punt return doesn't go for a touchdown, if you let them get into position, that kind of thing. Or, kickoffs, of course, the NFL's trying to get rid of kickoffs.
Yeah. Fuck
Roger Goodell. But it's great to watch college football where they actually have a real kickoff now. It's fun. But I remember Denny Green used to coach the Minnesota Vikings when I first moved to Minnesota, and then they fired him, and he was doing some commentary before he went to coach for the Cardinals. And this is in like 2003. He said, look, there's two things you got to get right away when you start a new team. You got to get your quarterback, and you got to get your kicker. And if those two things will lose you more games if you don't have the right guy than any other position on the team. Those are the first two things you have to get. So what was the first thing Denny Green went and got? Of course, when he became head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, he drafted Larry Fitzgerald instead of Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger. And where did Denny ever get to it? No, he never had it.
I will say it's hard to knock the draft choice of Larry Fitzgerald. Wait, did they get a? Wait, hold on.
Here's the thing. That was the year.
Did they get a Super Bowl, or they lost the Super Bowl to the Steelers?
That was the year, though, that the Chargers picked fourth, and they wanted the Chargers picked first, and they wanted Phillip Rivers. And the Giants picked fourth, and they wanted Eli Manning. So there was all this leveraging going on. And at number 3 was the Arizona Cardinals. And what the Cardinals could have done is called up the Giants and the Chargers and got them on a conference call and said, we're going to take Phillip Rivers. And that means New York, you're not going to get Eli Manning because you don't have the player that the Chargers want. And Chargers, that means, you're not going to get the trade you want, right? You're not going to get the guy you want either. You're not going to get Phillip Rivers because we're going to take him. I would have tried to, and maybe they did, but I've never heard a story along these lines. I would have said, look, it's pretty simple. New York, we're going to get your first round pick next year. And San Diego, we're going to get Drew Brees, and you're going to draft Larry Fitzgerald for us with the 4th pick. If you want us to give you Phillip Rivers, who we're going to take with the 3rd pick. So they could have leveraged it. They didn't. I've just gone through that in my head many times. And that was a very interesting year draft.
Yeah. When I've had Zach Barris on the program, we talk about basketball. We talk about basketball for hours, and we love re-legislating. If we redrafted from 5 years ago or 10 years ago,
right.
The guy that went 27, what if he went number 3 where he should have went? It would have totally changed that franchise's trajectory, meaning next year they wouldn't have got and it just.
But this was actually, I remember this was actually discussion going on, and then Green didn't do that. He just wanted Larry Fitzgerald so bad because Larry's dad had been on his team when he was with the Vikings or something along those lines, or he knew the Fitzgerald family. Larry was a ball boy for the Vikings in Minnesota. So anyway,
fun fact there.
It was a good pick, but they could have had a lot of leverage there.
I had another one here. He's back asking another question. Okay, so same team.
Yeah.
As we have before. Would you trade Dobbins in London for Taylor and Garrett Wilson? Man, Garrett Wilson isn't giving us much at all this year.
No,
Taylor's good, but
because they're just not generating any offense. In New York, they have Aaron Rodgers. They should be generating offense. But as of right now, I wouldn't do that this week. I'd wait. Look, if Aaron Rodgers breaks out.
But remember, Drake London included in this potential trade. Drake London is getting some uneasy. Like you said, you might see Michael Penix in the Falcons.
Hey, that's the thing. If they start Penix, is Drake London going to be getting those reliable targets the way he was for Kirk Cousins? So I would wait
in on the young player and overfeed him. Like,
if I could wait one more week on that, I would. I'd wait and see, because you never know. Aaron Rodgers, you'll trade for Garrett Wilson. What if Aaron Rodgers has a week where he finally throws for 353 yards and Garrett Wilson gets 10 catches for 2 touchdowns and so on? Who knows?
Well, let's pivot off of 2 touchdowns. That's exactly what J.K. Dobbins gave the Los Angeles Chargers. And look, another good game for Joe Burrow. It's kind of like the Jameis Winston effect. 25 of 50, maybe not as efficient, but 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They lose the game. They still lose this game. It was a great game. Did you watch this game? It really kind of came down to the wire, and J.K. Dobbins had the walk-off touchdown essentially to.
I don't know if it was a great game, but it was sure as hell an entertaining game. And you look at Jamar Chase is so good. Although I think that douchey bit where you walk into the end zone is BS. But Joe Burrow's fantastic. Justin Herbert was fantastic. It was a great game to watch, and this is why you have to have the quarterback, because the Bengals, look, it was a tough loss for them. They played really well. They came back from 24-6 or something. They 20-6. They came all the way back. They got the game tied. It was a very entertaining game and a testament to Joe Burrow. But Bengals, I'm sorry, you gave away too many games at the beginning of the season, and you're not going to make it back. So at this point, I'm playing to preserve the health of my best players for the rest of the year if I'm the Bengals. That's where I'm at. Chargers look good. Chargers look surprisingly good.
Yeah, and by the way, the Michigan Wolverines, that team up north, they do not look good. Amazing what happens when you don't know what plays the other team is about to call. I wonder if any of that's happening in Los Angeles. I don't know. Getting a question here from Dylan Finnick. He's in a full PPR 12 team. Man, those 12-team leagues are tough. God, it gets really dicey at the bottom of that roster, especially when you get some injuries and you get the bye weeks and the flex positions. He's saying he can afford upgrades. So I guess here I tried to ask for some elaboration. All right, is this kind of like Mary F. Kill, or is this like stardom sit-em kind of stuff? He's saying Jamar Chase, Wills, Terry Hopkins, Dell. I would be high on Tank Dell, who's coming off of an injury, and I think that he's going to get it back together with C.J. Stroud. I'm high on Tank Dell, Jamar Chase, obviously. Yeah, look, I like Jacobs and Dobbins. I think they're strong. I'm not buying Taysom Hill. He's too feast or famine. He could win you a game, but he could definitely lose you a game too.
He'll have 26 yards on 3 catches next week. So, that's Taysom Hill.
And yeah, JD5 versus Justin Herbert. I think Herbert's putting it together. He's kind of coming out at the right time of the year, and this is when you want to ride the hot hand. So if the question is kind of like start him or sit him, that's what I would do there. Jerry Jones trying to figure out who to start and who to sit while parts of his stadium fall onto the field as he's letting light in so that his receivers can't catch touchdowns. It's a bit of a comedy of errors, and they're making a lot of jokes about winning and Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and all of that jazz. But yeah, Texans take care of business, rout the Dallas football Cowboys here, 34-10. Houston improves to 7-4 on the year. Dallas drops to 3-7. So what are we doing here with Cooper Rush? 354 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I mean, he threw it quite a bit. CJ had no touchdowns and 1 interception. Joe Mixon was the star on the day with 3 touchdowns.
Right. How bad must Trey Lance be if you do not let him play under these circumstances? Now, Cooper Rush, 354 yards, but only a 6.4 yard average. He's not getting the ball deep. He's not throwing touchdowns. How bad must Trey Lance be if you are not letting him play? Cowboys, let me just tell you something, Cowboys fans. Your dreams of Bill Belichick are not going to come true. Bill Belichick is not coming into this mess. He's not.
So is this a prime situation for Neon Dion and his kid?
Maybe, but
a prime situation. The Browns 2 future first-round picks.
That's good.
To move up a couple spots.
That's good.
I mean, Dion comes back to Dallas where he won a Super Bowl.
I mean, the only thing, the only way they're going to do it is if they can get up to number 1.
They would have to trade with the Browns.
Right now, they would have to trade a lot more than 2 first-round picks to get up to number 1.
But you see what I'm thinking here? Like, if we could obtain the bag and get the number 1 overall pick, look, we have been deficient of first-round picks for 3 years in a row because this Deshaun Watson madness. If there's a team that is starving for young draft capital that you can get somebody for cheap, relatively cheap, as on the rookie contract, man, oh man, do we have to turn over a lot of stuff on that roster. And if Dion is there, and if Dion wants to take his talents there, get rid of McCarthy and give it a shot, because you're hearing Dion say he wants to coach at the next level too. He was out there talking about it pretty openly. My God, maybe we have a draft partner and squeeze 3 first-round picks. But you're talking about how bad is Trey Lance. Look, how many first-round picks did the 49ers have to give up just to get up and go get Trey Lance?
Yeah.
That was lopsided AF. That was maybe the worst trade in football history until the Browns did the Watson deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a nightmare situation right now in Dallas. And Bill Belichick ain't going there. And, remember when Jerry Jones promised Bill Parcells he could have total control, and that lasted about a year. And then Jerry started sticking his nose back in again. Bill's not going for that. So I do have a Bill Belichick scenario that I would like to throw out at the end of the show, or maybe
we'll do it here. Do it here because it's relevant.
So Seahawks could win this week, and everything could be interesting, or the bottom could fall out of the Seahawks season. Let's say the bottom falls out. Let's say they end up
Separation Sunday.
Let's say they end up 6-11, or 6-11. They're picking in the top 10, picking 8th or 10th or something like that, within range of going and getting one of the quarterbacks in this draft. I think that if that happens, they cut a whole bunch of the high salary guys. And this ownership group, Paul Allen's widow, before, when they pushed Mike Holmgren out as head coach, Tim Ruskell, the general manager, brought in Jim Mora, 5-11 season. They cleaned house. And then they went and they got a big name to take over named Pete Carroll. Bill Belichick, by the way, his son is the defensive coordinator for the University of Washington Huskies. He now has ties to the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. He has been at most Husky home games in Seattle to hang out with his son. If they said, Bill, we'll go get you a quarterback, we'll unload $100 million under the cap, and you can bring in any GM you want, Just know that if that happens, you heard it here first. Just remember that. You heard it here first.
What is the situation with your coach? You love, not love? It's just it's time for it. But you never turn down Belichick if you get the chance.
You never turn down Belichick. You never turn down Belichick. I think Mike McDonald's a good coach. I think he will be a good head coach. I don't know that it will be this year or next year, but I think he will be eventually a good head coach. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence that their 2 best games that the Seahawks have played this week have been coming off the mini bye on Thursday and the full bye, where this young coaching staff, and remember, Ryan Grubb is a first-time offensive coordinator. Arden Durden, or whatever his name is he's a British dude. He's the first-time defensive coordinator. This is a young coaching staff that doesn't have a lot of experience, but when they have extra time to prepare, their team seems to play the best. I think this is a team that long-term, this coaching staff could be good, could be a good staff, but right now they're not good enough to say no to Bill Belichick if he wants to come and take over the whole thing. So I'm just sort of like, Bill's sure spending a lot of time in Seattle. I wonder what he does the couple days that he's there. I mean, I know he's hanging out with his 24-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah. I mean,
but I wonder what he's doing. I wonder if he's having any back channel conversations with anybody. So just a scenario that popped into my head because, again, it would fit with this organization, the Allen family, to say, this isn't working. This didn't work. John Schneider, thanks very much for 10 years of terrible drafts. We think it's time for you to go find something else to do with your life and bring in Bill. So we'll see.
I looked up the setting for Fight Club. Do you remember what city that was set in? Because you said Tyler Durden's one of your coaches, right?
No, Arden Durden or something. Tyler Durden.
My brain went to Tyler Durden, of course. But I looked it up, and I guess it's set in an unnamed American city. but it was filmed primarily in Delaware. Anyway, okay, so let's pivot off of that interesting concept on Bill Belichick watch 2024. Where will he end up? Could he go to Dallas? Could he end up?
I think under those circumstances, Seattle is a better situation. Now, having watched what Jim Harbaugh is doing in LA, he's not going to a team that doesn't have a quarterback. So Dak has some appeal. Dak has also had catastrophic injuries 3 out of the last 5 seasons. So he's got to think about that. He could go to Oakland as long as he feels like they're in a position to get the quarterback that he wants. Or not Oakland, but Las Vegas here. But if Seattle were in a – now, if Seattle's picking 16 and they're not going to get a quarterback, Bill's not going to think about it. But if they're in a position to get a quarterback, you just never know.
And you know what? I wonder if Dion would look good in Las Vegas. Wondering, Tom Brady is obviously going to have a major say in what happens on that roster.
There is that also that Brady Belichick tie-in too could also be something to watch out for.
Good Lord. Belichick with his 24-year-old girlfriend coaching in Las Vegas. All right, I'm seeing it. I can actually
say it's good work. Weird. It's good work if you can get it, Brian.
God bless. Yeah, I'll sign up.
27-year-old girlfriend or whatever.
I'm all in. Put me at 100 millionaire club as well while we're at it. Okay, so if we want to become 100 millionaire, this is where we would usually pitch you whatever gambling app is paying us money, but nobody is yet. Maybe in the future someone will, and we can split those beautiful commission checks.
All right, let's jump over to Jim Mitchell's picks.
Yes, here's the pick segment that we would bounce to here because we got some inside information. Look at that dog. Look at that dog.
That's Lucy the Corgi. Look at how cute she is. She's a doll. Little Lucy is a doll. That's my friend Jim Mitchell. He is a former LA police detective and a brilliant guy and a great gambler. So he gives me these little tips every week. Interesting here, Steelers Browns. Here's a couple of stats from your Browns. The Steelers are 8-2 straight up in night games, Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. That's an interesting stat. But the Browns are 16-25 against the spread after a loss, and they're 9-17 against the spread versus the AFC North. Now, I have one additional bit of information about Steelers Browns, which I will give to you in the pick'em segment. Lions Colts.
You're not going to give it to me.
No, okay, I'm not going to give it to you now. I'm going to give it to you when I pick the games.
Okay, so let me ask then, just real quick for the people in the chat room, people watching us on all these different platforms. Thank you for joining Strictly Football, by the way. What does that mean to the non-gambler when it says they're 16-25 against the spread? I know what after a loss means. Of course, most of the people get that, but they say against the spread. I don't know the spread tonight. Is it 3.5 or?
Yeah, I don't know. That means that they did not beat the spread. In other words, they lost
3.5 exactly. That's exactly
right.
What I got.
They might have won the game, but they were favored by 2 and they only won by 1 point. Therefore, they lost against the spread. So that's how you look at it. Okay. Lions are 31-9 straight up last 40 games.
Wow.
Stoff is 16-4, 16-4 against the spread on the road. He's 32-11 against the spread indoors, and he's playing indoors. And the NFC North is 21-11 against the spread versus non-division opponents. So those all tend to favor the Lions over the Colts this weekend.
Let me ask you a question right there about that, by the way. Would Lions and Bills be the best matchup we could hope for in the Super Bowl? Because then a long-suffering fan base is guaranteed to get out of there. We're not just rooting against the team we're sick of seeing. Somebody wins, and we all win.
If the Lions make the Super Bowl against, say, the Chiefs, the whole universe is going to be rooting for the Lions. Okay, that's just the way it is. I'd love to see some Super Bowls with teams that haven't made it. I'd love to see them get there, get in the club. Chiefs Panthers. Mahomes is 18-4 straight up after a loss. He's playing the Panthers. I'm definitely going to be betting the Chiefs this week. Vikings Bears. Bears are 11-25 straight up in their last 36 games. Okay, that's not a good trend, and the Vikings are better. Cowboys Redskins. Cowboys are 2-13 straight up as a dog. So I would take. And Jim, I appreciate you putting Redskins on there. Redskins. There we go. Titans Texans. The Titans are 9-7-1 against the spread on the road after a loss. Broncos Raiders. Broncos are 5-19 straight up on the road, and they are 13-20 against the spread. Now, I hear you with that 5-19 straight up, but that covers, the first year of the Sean Payton era, which wasn't very good. So, but those are the trends. Raiders are 9-5 against the spread versus the AFC West, and Gardner Minshew is only 12-20 against the spread. So not a lot of help there on the Broncos Raiders. Cardinals Seahawks, of course, this is a game that interests me the most. Kyler Murray is 19-7 against the spread on the road, so don't take or give the points. Don't play the spread against Kyler Murray. Murray is 3-11 straight up after a win. 3-11 straight up in his last 14 games after a win. That shows that he maybe relaxes a little bit after he wins a game, gets a little full of himself. Geno Smith is 3-10 against the spread at home. Yeah, the Seahawks used to have a home field advantage. Now teams just come in and kick sand in our faces on a. We lost, I think, 4 in a row at home.
Yeah, what's the deal with your 12th man? That was a big deal.
Well, people aren't going to the games as much anymore, and that's another thing that will pressure the ownership to make a big change in the organization. Is the fact that people are selling their tickets to the point that you have as many fans for the other team showing up to the games as you do for the Seahawks.
That's like a Raiders game. That's like any Los Angeles game.
That's a hint that the fans are losing interest in the Seahawks, and that will motivate an organization to make a change. 49ers Packers. The NFC North is 12-11 against the spread versus non-division opponents. Eagles, Rams. Rams are 4-10-1 straight up as a dog at home, and they are underdogs to the Eagles. Interesting stuff. And Ravens, Chargers. Lamar Jackson is 18-6 straight up in his last 24 games. So those are your betting tips for the week. Should we just go straight over to the game picker?
Let's do the transition.
All right. I'm going to by accident.
Surprised you with the transition there.
Okay, that was okay. Oh, you surprised me with the transition. Okay, now Brian, I want to look at last week. What was I last week? Week 11. Mike Bara was 11-3.
Oh my Lord!
11-3. Eagles, Steelers, Saints, Packers. I blew the Jets game. I'm not picking them again. Lions, Rams, Dolphins, Minnesota, Denver. I should have bet with my Seahawks. I had talked about it. I said, they're pretty good off a bye week. I should have gone with that instinct. Buffalo beat Kansas City. I took Cincinnati. I thought they'd be more desperate than Houston, Dallas. That was pretty easy. Pretty easy week. But look, folks, I'm just going to tell you, if you
That's a great week. That is the best week of the season, 11-3.
That's pretty much the best week of the season. And look, I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you, if you want to make money, go put $20 down straight up with every team that I pick, and you would have made a fortune by now off me. So,
and by the way, that's for entertainment purposes.
This is only. That's right, and this is not financial advice. All right, tonight's opponent, Thursday, November 21st, Steelers versus Browns. Everything points to the Steelers. They're 8-2. The Browns are 2-8. Steelers have Russell Wilson. Browns have Jameis Winston. But,
no.
Did you know that
I'm wearing my Browns shirt, by the way?
What's that?
I'm wearing it's a half Cleveland Browns, half Ohio State Buckeyes.
There you go.
Football shirt. Okay, what do I need to know?
Did you know here? Did you know? And I found out this. I found this
about the head coach. Is it about
Mike Tomlin? Oh. Mike Tomlin is 0-7 on a short week against a division opponent on the road in his career as Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. He has never won a game on a short week on the road against a division opponent. And guess what? This is a short week. He's playing on Thursday. He's playing a division opponent, the Cleveland Browns, and they're on the road. So you know what I'm doing? I'm taking the Cleveland Browns.
Oh my gosh.
Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, based solely on
my goodness.
Because everything else says Steelers win.
Well, let me add one caveat. No, I will add it at this particular moment because it's another weird component to the Browns Steelers matchup. Check this out. The last 6 Cleveland Browns head coaches, they were all fired after a Steelers game.
Well, because they're your opponent. They're your main divisional rival there. So, yeah.
But I mean, having it happen and coincide directly connected to that Steelers game. I mean, Kevin Stefanski might be coaching for his job tonight with Mike Vrabel wandering the sidelines.
Yeah.
I don't know what difference that makes, but that's another interesting little tidbit. I heard that and went, but really, when you get embarrassed and you're deep in a season and you're in a top 5 pick territory, and you look at a consistently well-run organization for the past 30 years, and it's just like, enough is enough. Damn it, get rid of them all. And they come in Monday, and it's just
But buddy, look, 0-7 is a trend. It is a trend curve. Okay. So if they play on Monday and they're on the road the following Sunday against a division opponent, they always lose. If they play on Sunday and have a game on Thursday against a division opponent on the road, they always lose. It's 100%. I am not going against 100%. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns tonight to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right.
Redskins, Cowboys, that's easy. Redskins, Lions, Colts, that's easy. Lions are better. They're playing the Colts. And I don't think on Jim's stuff, I don't think there was anything really. But yeah, the Lions have everything kind of trending their way, so I'm not too concerned about that one. Chiefs and Carolina, I think Chiefs bounce back even though they're on the road. But I do think we need to watch Kansas City to maybe drop down a little bit here. Minnesota, Chicago, Minnesota, again, a road team. They're just better than the Bears. Patriots, Dolphins, going with the Dolphins at home over the Patriots. They're the better football team. Tua is back unless he gets injured. Buccaneers, Giants. Giants are going with what? Danny DeVito as their quarterback? I don't know who it is.
Danny DeVito, too, because we go from Danny Dimes to
Tony DeVito. Yeah, passed right over Drew Lock. Drew Lock might win you that game. It ain't going to happen. I think the Bucs probably have the worst luck of any team in the last.
What did we call him, DeVito? What did you call his first name?
Danny DeVito is what I called him.
But what is it?
It's Tony or Tommy.
Tommy. There we go. I had to look it up. All I was thinking was Danny DeVito. I could see him as the Penguin.
Right. Houston Titans. Houston's not playing that well. CJ Stroud's struggling a little bit, especially in the second half. I think it's a little bit of a sophomore slump. I think he'll come out of it eventually. Going to take Houston at home. Although I hope Will Levis plays really well. Broncos come in and knock off the Raiders here in Vegas just because Bo Nix is a good player and he's getting better. So I think they're a team on the assumption. Arizona, Seattle. Well, what do we have from Jim over here? We have Murray against the spread, but he's 3-11 straight up after a win. 3-11. 3-11. I think the Cardinals are a little bit better than the Seahawks right now, but it's a road game. I think Kyler Murray gets fat, dumb, and happy when he wins. At least that's what that stat tells me. The Seahawks really need to win a game at home, so I'm going with my hopes and hoping that the Seahawks pull to 6-5. But that's a game. That's a pick'em game.
The whole division is, right.
Yeah, San Francisco against Green Bay. I don't see Nick Bosa coming back this week. I think the 49ers have a lot of problems. They have the Super Bowl hangover. They say, Brian, that when you lose the Super Bowl, 70 or 80% of the time, that the team that loses the Super Bowl doesn't even make the playoffs next year. I think that's part of what's going on with the 49ers malaise. I think they have issues. There's a lot of infighting going on right now. So I think the Packers are playing well enough that they will beat the 49ers this weekend. Philadelphia Rams, I'm going to go with my hopes and dreams and say the Eagles over the Rams. And Chargers versus Baltimore, I'm going to make you happy. I think the Chargers are hotter than hell right now. I think that they beat the Ravens coming in on the road. I think it's going to be a tough week for Lamar. And if this plays out this way, my Seattle Seahawks will be in first place in the NFC West. That's it. Those are my picks.
Nice. All right. Well, let's go and see what I did last week. I went 8-6, which for me is not that bad. That's actually one of my.
That's 2 weeks. I think that's 2 weeks in a row you've been 8-6, right?
Hey, I think I'm on one, and I think I'm going to have some different picks from you this week. But that changes my season record to 76-90 overall. Definitely do not participate in mine. But do
not bet as Brian bets. Bet as Mike bets. Mike's not betting, so that's why his picks are coming out. So, all right.
There's a, are you a Simpsons fan? Did you watch The Simpsons, Mike?
Yeah, I used to watch The Simpsons all the time. Sure.
Yeah, there was a joke. What was the screen? Hold on. I had a screen where it would fit perfect. Now it's not doing that. There was a Simpsons episode where they give a book to Bart Simpson when he's going through like the Boy Scouts thing, and he gets a pocket knife, and the title of the book is called "Don't Do What Donnie Don't Does." He goes, they could have made this a little simpler. Anyway, don't do as Brian does, but I'm getting hot at the right time of the season. That's what I'm getting at.
All right, 2 weeks in a row, you've been a winner.
I know. And look, I'm changing it up here. I'm feeling it because I think at this time of the year, I'm not even rooting for my team to win. I frankly hope we don't, because like we have to hit reset, and we've been so starved of first-round draft picks. I'd like it to be the most impactful player possible. I'm going to pick Schittsburg in the upset here to defeat Cleveland. It's an upset in my own mind. Of course, the Steelers are playing. I think it's, I don't know. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to win this one. I'm picking Washington as well. I don't know what kind of fight Dallas has in them, but yeah, you made a good point. I totally forgot that they had Trey Lance on the bench there. And it's not like Cooper Rush was playing terrible, but I would like to see him play. I like when quarterbacks who kind of fizzled out or never got going, I like when they get a chance to figure it out. Like, not everybody's ready immediately. It takes a little bit of time sometimes. So anyway, I still think Washington gets that win. Detroit, Indianapolis, nobody's stopping Detroit. By the way, trivia question. Who's the only team that beat Detroit this season?
Oh, I don't remember.
The only team that beat the Detroit Lions.
I want to say the Packers, but I don't think it was the Packers.
So I don't know. It was Baker freaking Mayfield and the Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, that's right. They went and beat them up in week 2 or 3.
Yeah, and by the way, to anyone that says Baker can't win big games, Baker can't win on the road.
That was when the Bucs were healthy. That was when they still had all their players. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're missing 2 of their top 2 wide receivers at this point. Tough going over there. They've been in a bit of a funk, falling to 4-6, but we'll see how it shakes out. I would love to pick Carolina, and shockingly, they have 3 wins on the season. You're struggling to figure out how that's happened. Yes, I think Kansas City will continue taking a step back. Although, when are they getting Isaiah Pacheco back?
I don't know. Yeah,
I would love to have him back in my fantasy football league. I saw that he might be coming back. Not sure when, but I think KC's got too much talent to win this game. I'm also picking Minnesota because their record is who they are, who their record says they are. Yes. I want to pick the Dolphins here, but they've been so uneven. Do I dare actually pick a team with one worse game under their belt? Do I go with the upset? Because this is where I could gain some ground on you, Mike. I just can't. I don't believe in the receivers enough. I'm picking the Dolphins. Tampa Bay, New York. Tampa gets Tommy DeVito. Yeah, is Daniel Jones done with the team? That's what they did when they shuffled spots.
They will be moving on from him. Yeah, they will be moving on from him at the end of the season for sure. That's why they're benching him and making him the 3rd quarterback, because that way he can't get injured and trigger his injury guarantee. So they won't have to pay that. So
okay. Then there you go. Good point there. And they're sitting at 2-8, tied with the Browns for the worst record in the league. So yeah, I want all the 2-win teams to get an upset win, but I don't want it at the expense of Baker Mayfield. Tennessee at Houston. Houston is a superior team. Although, like I said, if Tennessee, another 2-win team, can get an upset, I'd be happy, but I can't put money on it. By the way, this is just fun money, but still. Denver at Las Vegas. That's another one. Tom Brady's like, look, we suck. It's my first year as an owner. I want us to have that number 1 overall pick. They really want Deion Sanders maybe, or something transformative. And you know that ownership group is going to listen to Tom Brady's opinion on this. But Denver is the better team, and Bo Nix is starting to play lights out. Like, I'm really impressed with the kid. Good for him. Arizona, Seattle. I'll be the contrarian. I think you went with Seattle in the 12th man. I'm going to go with the Cardinals in this one. San Francisco, Green Bay. You went with Green Bay. I know they're without Bosa. I'm still going to pick Green Bay. I can't do the opposite there. I will here, though. I think the Rams are starting to get healthy at the right time. They have pedigree. They have competent coaching. They have a field general in Matt Stafford. Philadelphia is a very good team sitting at 8-2, but look, they're at Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep winning when you're 8-2. It's really hard to go 9-2. It's just face rate. The law of averages catches up with you.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna go with that, with that wide receiver tandem there starting to lock in with 3 touchdowns last week. And then I'm gonna go back with Baltimore. I know that the Chargers are doing well at this point, but Baltimore's doing well too. And I know that that's another place where I could possibly pick up some ground on you.
The Cardinals, Ravens, and Rams are the separation for us this week. And you haven't beaten me in a week yet, so it would be interesting to see if you could beat
There's
me.
not been a single week where I defeated.
Every week. We had 1 week where it was even. We both went 8-8, I think, in week 2. But other than that, no, you haven't won yet. So you might win this week. Who knows?
First time for everything. Oh, we also flipped on the Browns Steelers too. So
Browns and Steelers.
You got 4 differences.
And Cardinals Seahawks is another game.
Yeah.
Where look, that's a safe bet. It's just as reasonable that the Seahawks managed to pull it together and win 2 weeks in a row as it is the Cardinals come in and curb stomp.
These are coin flip games. Like a lot of these are coin flip just on the surface. But that's what they say. Any given Sunday, it's a game of inches. That's why you play the game.
Yada yada yada.
These are overused cliches for a reason. It really is any given Sunday. You never know. Why did the Browns beat the Ravens 2 weeks ago? We whooped them too. Why did we whoop the Ravens?
I don't know. There's probably some Jim Mitchell betting props there that we should go back and revisit, and we might be able to find that out.
I think that's easily one of the biggest upsets of the season. I was fortunate enough to be at that game. It was a great game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be very interesting if you asked him to go back. Did you have anything on the Browns upsetting the Ravens that would have predicted that? That's a very good question.
Okay, I'm finding it right now. Browns. Well, no, they were 15-4 against. No, it all pointed to the Browns losing. Dogs of 6 or more points are 18-7 against the spread. So there's a little bit of a hint against the spread. No, there was nothing that indicated the Browns were going to win that game.
That's why you play the games. Of course, that's what makes the NFL so fun. And that's why we do Strictly Football here, talking about Strictly Football. We did a pretty darn good job of being mostly Strictly Football today. Mike always has to bring me back on track. Sometimes I drag Mike back on track, but it's all for the good of the game. Mike does his shows. Let's plug Mike's shows. Mike, tell people about the other shows you do, where they should.
Real News Live with Mike and Jen on Monday. Tell the Truth Wednesday with Mike and Jen on Tuesday. Or it's Wednesday. Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Sometimes with Brian. On Tuesdays, but with Blake and Brooks and Steve, and then Strictly Football and Whiskey and Wisdom with the original Mark Z on Wednesday nights.
Now, what is this one? I think you said I should. You mentioned this. What is Whiskey
and Wisdom? Is just me and my friend Mark, who's an economist, and we talk about economics and financial stuff a lot. And it's kind of like if we smoke cigars, we would sit around and just drink whiskey and smoke cigars, and the ladies get to sit in on what the guys are talking about, as if the ladies are not even there. And then we also feature Mike Bara's bad dating advice on Whiskey and Wisdom, which
I think that's the part that sounded bad dating advice.
It's actually good dating advice, but we call it. It's actually good dating advice, but we call it bad dating advice, so the ladies don't get too upset when I call them out on their behavior. So
you're like Stephen Colbert pretending to be the Bill O'Reilly character back when Colbert was funny.
I just sit back. Yeah, I just sit back and I say, first date. Here's the trick. First date, guys. Tell her we're going out for drinks and appetizers at this bar. I'm buying the first round. If you want to drink and eat after that, you got to buy your own, right? And you tell her that, and then you see, what does she order? Does she order beer? That means something. Does she order wine? That means something. Does she order the most expensive foo-foo girly drink on the menu? Or does she order a straight shot of tequila? These things all tell you something. Does she order the most expensive food on the happy hour menu? Does she order something relatively modest and inexpensive? What does she order? And then if she sticks around for the second round, which, if the date's going good, then we see the second round, then you see what she orders for herself versus what she orders when you're paying. And this tells you a lot about her.
Does it change?
Does it change significantly? And, look, I'm just going to tell you, if she takes straight shots of hard liquor, entertain recreational purposes only, gentlemen. But if she orders something modest to eat and she orders a glass of wine, that means she wants to take it slowly and she's interested in you. So there's all these little tips that men don't.
What does beer mean to a mixed drink? What's the difference?
Wait. And then look, if the date goes really well and maybe you're even making out a little bit, then when the check comes, you pay for everything. But you tell her she's paying for her own and see what she does. These are ways you can figure out what's on a lady's mind.
All right.
If she drinks beer, that means she's a fun, sports-loving girl, and you can take her to the ball game. It's good. That's a good thing to have.
Nice. Beer drinking ball game broad. Beauties is what I meant to say. Yes. Okay. Well, that sounds super interesting. I've never caught one of those yet, but it's on my radar. It's on the radar. Okay. Well, check out his shows and check out the Unhappy Hour sports shows when we do those.
Strictly Football.
It's a little bit more sporadic. Of course, Strictly Football. Next week with Thursday being Thanksgiving. We'll figure out what day, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Don't know.
Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah.
But we did start a special X account for this program. Do at TNAM. What is it? What the hell is it called? At TNAM Football. But it's for Strictly Football. I typed Strictly Football. It's one character too many, so I went with TNAM Football instead. But that's where this show is going to get uploaded, and we'll just kind of. Mike, are you even following that new account yet? I don't know that you.
No, I'm not. I'm not. It's at. It's that one. It's at TNAM Football. Right?
TNAM Football for the New American Media. Yes, TNAM Football.
There we go.
But yeah, follow us and link up with us over there. And of course, check out the New American Media and all of the regular places, including the Spotify podcast for the Unhappy Hour sports shows, including this one, Strictly Football. So there we have it. Any final words, Mr. Mike?
I do not have anything else to say except it's going to be a good tonight's game is going to be good. Let's see how this Mike Tomlin thing plays out. Guys like Jim Mitchell are smart. There's a reason why people can make money gambling on football games.
Well, let's see if Kevin Stefanski survives.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see if Kevin Stefanski survives Steeler week.
Yeah.
Last 6 coaches allegedly have all gone after. So,
you never know.
We're
everybody have a great story.